And thank you, my friends. Welcome to Sanctuary Online.
I think we can hear you.
It is week 3 of our Meet the Artist series. So we're incredibly excited. And I wanna steal all your thunder, Ken, and introduce Shelley, but I won't. I'm gonna be disciplined about the whole thing. Just a moment. And I'm gonna go ahead and welcome everybody. And as usual, we don't show you that. There we go. We show you this. We ask you to enable your video tonight. A part of what we do at Sanctuary Online is to create communities and even cross-pollinate communities. So if you can do that and keep yourself in gallery view rather than speaker view, and that allows us to see everybody and really connect, right, in a way that our world needs so much of currently. So in the chat box, you can go ahead and offer your first and last name, your email address, and where you're calling in from. And especially if we don't have your cell number yet, one of the things we love to do is we actually send you a little text on Tuesday afternoons. So Janice, although you were here last night, which was a Monday, and we've never been on a Monday, but you must have been so excited this week to see Shelley that you came on a night early. But you should have known you didn't get a text to remind you that because it was Monday.
You're right. You are absolutely right.
We try and have systems that help it all work out, but anyway, welcome everyone. We are so excited here to be with you tonight. And like I said, Meet the Artist. Tonight is our week 3. And Edie Disler, God bless you, kicked us off with jewelry and large metal and stone and wood and everything objects, your phenomenal work, artistry and your story. And then week 2, Jason Hanisch came on, and Jason's an oil painter and shared with us all about his travels in Italy. And I'll show you a little more. Jason gifted us with a painting of his that we're still auctioning off. And tonight, like I said, we are deeply honored to have a good friend of Sanctuary and the superstar, rock star, and I mean that when I say it, Shelley King tonight. So we're incredibly excited for our Meet the Artist series to continue. This is the painting that Jason actually offered us. And we are auctioning that off, I think through the 22nd of June, we're gonna announce that. So if you're interested at all to take a better look at the painting, it's on our website. Just go to www.sanctuaryinthewoods.com. And if you're curious and would like to bid on the painting, the highest bid is in there on the website, and you can send your bid into us at talktous@sanctuaryinthewoods.com. All I would say is, whatever you think you should bid more. I mean, come on, think about it. So it's June, and tonight we're here with Shelley King. Like I said, I could go on and on, Shelley. It's been so fun knowing you and then researching you. I've learned even so much more, but I'm going to leave that to you and Ken a little bit later on. Texas royalty, my friends. Our book club. Last in May, the book club folks were so silly about all their options. They chose books for the entire summer. So in June, we're going to read Broken Horses by Brandi Carlile. And the cool thing is, Brandi Carlile might actually show up in our Zoom book conversation. She does that. So Dell's working on Brandi to show up. Meet the Artist in July. We were so close to having a name in that spot. And we will have one shortly, I promise. And then the July book conversation is going to be This Tender Land by William Kent Kruger. I don't think he's going to pop into the conversation, but we still are excited for these phenomenal books. And once again, if you're a summer reader, pick up a book. And if you read part of it, show up anyway. Cheryl has such a following. Our book conversations, people often come, whether they've read the book or not, just because they enjoy being around that silly group of people. So a wonderful summer. On the weeks off, as we told you, we are already hot and heavy into the redesign of Creating a Life That Matters. So the pilot we put on in March of this year, and then some focus groups for feedback. We've learned so much. And the weeks that you don't see us, we are hard at work in the background, hoping to redesign CLM, the entirety of the curriculum, and bring that to you in its entirety in the fall and winter of this year. Keep on praying for us, please. Tonight, Ken Martin, would you like me to start with slides or start in gallery mode? I'm gonna go to gallery mode. Ken,
Yes.
it's all yours, my friend.
Okay. I'm having some problems with my connection. Joby, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you fine. I will keep letting you know if we can't, Ken, okay?
Okay, yes, I'm getting some of that robotic sound and everything. And right now, I've lost Zoom, all Zoom pictures.
Well, how would you,
Not sure how to.
this is where Barb normally runs across the street and helps you out.
I'll do that.
Thank you, Barb.
Okay, right now I'm just getting, I'm getting a very strange picture that says add Zoom meetings to your calendar.
Okay, so Ken, Barb's on the way. Why don't you start chatting
yes.
with Shelley and we're good to go?
Yeah, everybody,
Ken,
everybody hold just a second.
Because he
a
just
while
left.
ago, I had something weird like that, and when I closed that window, the Zoom was behind it, so.
Exactly. Well, Shelley, now you can tell that we're not necessarily professionals at what we do, okay? But we
Zoom is a new thing every
Okay.
time, isn't it? I mean, there's always something.
Yes,
but we interview professionals, so we're glad you're
okay,
here.
that's right.
All right, Ken, all yours, my
Okay,
friend.
so I can't see, yeah, I can't see anybody or anything right now, but we'll go ahead and start. And Barb is on the way over, and she's a lot more tech savvy than I am. She may know what to do. So I first of all, I just want to, in the interest of full disclosure, I want to say that Shelley has been a friend and supporter of Sanctuary in the Woods just about from our beginning. She has performed at several different events here at Sanctuary. And as Joe said, you're the first musician that we've had in our Meet the Artist series. And so we just decided to go for it and get the best first.
Okay, good.
So I want everybody who doesn't already know it to know that Shelley King is the first woman designated by the state legislature of Texas as the Texas Musician of the Year. And that is just an extraordinary thing. And so we congratulate you on that, and we welcome you to Sanctuary. So Joe, if you will put up the first slide there. I can't see, is it up?
It's up and you know what it is, because we have rehearsed, people. We do that at least.
Okay, and Barb is here, so can you tell what's going on here, Barb?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so the slide on the left was Shelley performing at an event here in Sanctuary. It was actually both Darcel's birthday party, and it was also a fundraiser. And that night, Shelley helped us to raise thousands of dollars to provide safe space for a group of 8 young women in Pakistan whose lives were literally at risk because they are gay and Christian. And on the slide that I think you see on the right, that's Shelley and band members performing on the porch of Tom and Darcel's family farm home in upstate New York. That was 1995. We happened to be up there and found out that Shelley was performing somewhere in New York. And I think Darcel contacted her, and Shelley was kind enough to come. And for a group of about 50 family members and friends of the family from this little town that Tom and Darcel grew up in, we had a Shelley King concert right there in Nunde, New York. And so I just wanted to start by thanking Shelley for being such a good friend and helping us with some really worthwhile projects through the years.
Oh, thank you, Ken.
Joe, can you go to the
Thank
next
for
slide?
Including me in all of this stuff. It's been great.
Shelley, well, whatever,
Oh,
if
you
we
are
find that
always
you're near,
welcome. I'm sorry, hold on a second. What?
you know that.
What?
I said, if we find you're near, obviously we will find you and invite you, period.
Awesome.
And the next is
Okay,
Sanctuary. Are you back up and running?
Barb, our wizard, yes, I'm back on now. Thank you, Barb. This is not the first time Barb's had to run across the street and help, as you can tell. Okay, this is a picture that I took several years ago out by the pool here at Sanctuary of Shelley and her family. And I wanted to start with this because I suspect there are a lot of people who don't know that your wonderful longtime drummer in your band is in fact your husband, Perry, who we see here along with your son, Clark. And so, Shelley, why don't you start sort of by telling us how you and Perry met, how and where, and how this romantic and musical collaboration came to be.
Awesome. Well, cool. We've been together now about 30 years. We first met, we were in a band together. I had a long story short, I had a little band and I had a gig that I was trying to get. And in the process before that gig came about, I ended up firing my band. Okay, there were some things that happened and I was like, these guys are not cutting it. Then the phone rang and it was the gig that I'd been wanting. And they said, hey, you still have your band? I'm like, you bet. And they said, great, we're going to book you. How many members are in your band? I'm like, 5? That's good? Yeah. Immediately got on the phone and started calling musicians that I knew to help me put the show together. Well, the first fella that I called was a bass player friend of mine. And he said, well, I can help you get a band together for this gig. He's like, my roommate's a drummer. That was Perry. So that was in 1990, yeah, I think I met him maybe in 89. We might've gotten together and jammed and, with some other musicians. But in 1990, we got together, made a band, played a gig in Houston and said, that was a lot of fun. Let's keep doing it. And so the band thing continued. And then of course, our romance started. And we kept it from the band for a long time. So, because they always say that won't work out, especially the singer and the drummer, it's never going to work. So it was our big secret, but it finally, they all found out finally. So, and now, as you can see, 30 years later, we have a 16-year-old kid. That is never going to work out.
Right.
Totally joking. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. There are a lot of us who are proving a lot of people wrong about the length of our relationships
Right.
These days. Was that in Austin that you met? Were you
That
both
was in
living in Austin?
Houston. That was in Houston, actually.
Oh, in Houston.
And
Okay.
I lived in Houston
When did you?
and started my music career down there in like 1990 or so. And people started saying, what are you doing here? You should go to Austin. That's where the music's at. And at that point, I didn't know much about Austin, but I scheduled a trip and I came up to Austin actually during South by Southwest, of course, and fell in love with it and got here as soon as I could. I've been here since November of 92 now.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, this is the place to be, I think. Joe, would you put up the next slide, please?
I sure will.
I think a lot of people will probably be saying, don't you have the wrong slide up there? But actually, we have a lot of military veterans. We have a lot of military families who join us. We have a lot of people who are very politically savvy enough to recognize that this is General Wesley Clark, who in 2004 ran for the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. In 2007, he endorsed Hillary Clinton, and when she pulled out, he endorsed and supported Barack Obama. And so, Joe, can we go to the next slide?
There you go, Ken.
In these pictures, you will see General Clark and his wife with Shelley and her family. So, Shelley, can you kind of explain this to us? Tell us about these pictures in this relationship.
That's my cousin Wes. He is my first cousin once removed. And if you're not familiar with what that means, it means my mom and Wes are first cousins. Their mothers were sisters. So my grandmother, my mother's mother, and Wes's mother are sisters. His mother is my Aunt Benita. And my mom and him grew up next door to each other, very close. I've, looked up to him my whole life. He's been very, very inspirational. and encouraging of going for what it is that makes you complete. I think he was really important to me in growing up, because I always felt like when I saw him at a family function, he was always going to quiz me and ask me what was going on, what do you have going on, what are you doing? And so I always felt like I needed to be able to recite my accomplishments, that he was going to think I'm okay if I've got all these accomplishments. So I'll remember at my grandfather's funeral, he asked me how things were going, what was going on. And I started telling him about my day job. I had a day job in sales at the time, and I had won a bunch of sales awards and done really good. And I started telling him all about this great job. And he goes, well, that's good. How's the music? And it's like he saw right to, like, knew what was really me, He was like, what's going on with the music? And, oh, I have a little band and we're working on a recording and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, great, good luck with that. Let me know what's happening with that. So it's just suddenly felt like, wow, it's not about this day job that I need to have. Like, I always thought that my family thought that I needed to have this certain kind of job. It's about being fulfilled and following your passion and following, what God put you here to do. So he was really impressionable to me. Then when he started running for president, that actually was it was a total shock. I hadn't talked to him in a year or two, and I was in the kitchen cutting up some vegetables for dinner, and I had the news on in the other room, and I heard the news talking about this movement called the Draft Clark movement. I'm like, what are they talking about? Well, there were a number of people that got together and talked him into running for president. He didn't have that ambition. They said, man, we need you. You've got to run. So he, started running then, and that was in 2003. So I got involved in helping him with his campaign rallies and stuff. His very first campaign rally was here in Austin at the Waterloo Park downtown. And we got to play music for it. And I wrote a song for his campaign and all kinds of stuff. But during that time that he was running, and I played a few different rallies for him and such. It's during that time that I found out I was pregnant. And it was just an inspirational time to, that he was doing, so much. And so we named our son Samuel Clark, Samuel after Perry's father, and Clark after my cousin Wes. So it's sort of a combo. So that's where the namesake came from anyway.
Good. I thought that would be a fun fact about you that probably even a lot of your avid fans would not know.
Yeah, because you don't
usually.
Yeah, so it's political. It seems like some people get upset if you're like related to this person because he has this political leaning or whatever, and like, sorry, he's my cousin, and I'm kind of down with what he's supporting, so it all works out. It's great. Yeah, but I don't go around blabbing about it too much. So
he's been a hero to a lot of us for a very long time. So I was personally really interested and excited to learn that about you. We want to talk in a few minutes about your ninth and most recent album. But first, I wanted people to see, Joby, the covers of your first 8 albums that have already been released. I think the first one was all the way back in 1998.
It's the
must have
brown
been
one.
About 6 years old.
Yeah,
at the time, but
the brown one down there. That's the first one. Yeah,
Shelley?
that's the first one.
That one right there,
It's
1998.
It's called
I just
Call of My
this
Heart.
is
Call of My Heart?
yeah. This is just a remarkable body of work, for any artist. and lots of us know lots of songs on lots of these albums. So I think when we see them all together like this and just realize that, you know, this has been what you have produced, you know, as an artist, it's really quite remarkable.
Thank
But
you.
I wanted to sort of start at the beginning with you and learn some. Is it you were born in Arkansas? Is that right?
That's right. I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay. I
did not
graduated
grow
from
up
high
in
school
Little
in
Rock.
Pine Bluff, and
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. I knew that. We're cousins, right?
graduated from Washita University in Arkadelphia and pastored a bunch of churches in Arkansas. So we got that in. Did you come from a musical family?
I did actually. My uncles were very, very musical, always playing guitar, always singing, playing all kinds of songs, making up some crazy songs and playing together. My Uncle Doug played lead guitar. My Uncle Steve had a really cool finger picking style, and together they were just always, there was always music going on. You know, they weren't professional. Actually, my Uncle Doug did have a band, you know, on occasion, but they didn't really pursue it as a profession. They did it just because it was who they were, and so there was always a lot of music. My mom was she liked to write lyrics and poetry, and of course when I was little I wanted to be like my mom and write some lyrics and such too. So all of that was definitely an inspiration. And then for me, going to church and singing at church was like, that was the best, because I could really, singing gospel music was a way to like really feel my voice. And I've got a big voice, and you know, just singing at home to the radio is one thing, but when you can dig in and sing something with feeling, it's, you know, it really opened me up to wanting to sing gospel music and also like blues and soul music.
How old were you when you actually started singing?
I was a little child. You know, the first time I remember singing in public, it was in church, and it was at my grandmother's church in Amarillo, Texas. And it was a big church, Polk Street Methodist Church, big old church, probably downtown or something, but huge, you know, and the big kids choir. And she got me involved in the children's choir. And of course they found out I could sing, and they go, "You're singing a solo." So they put me out in front with the big, you know, the choir singing backup, and we did Candyman. Remember that song?
Wow.
The Candyman makes everything he makes. So satisfying and delicious. Pack up all your cares and wishes. You can even eat the dishes, something like that. I think it was a Sammy Davis Jr. hit, but yeah, that was my first. I was a little child, like 5 years old or something like that. But I started singing when I was little bitty, and I, you know, you sound different. You probably all know when you sing in the shower, you think like, "Ah, I sound great," and then you hear yourself on a recording, and you're like, "That's not me. I know what I sound like. I sound like the shower." Okay, so for me, I thought I sounded at like 3 or 4 years old. I thought I sounded like exactly like Barbara Streisand. Exactly. I'm sure I really came close.
And what age did you start playing the guitar and accompanying yourself?
You know, that was probably, I had a guitar. My uncles gave me a guitar for Christmas when I was 6 or 7 years old. And so I had a little junior Yamaha acoustic that I learned some chords on and played to the Mel Bay songbook and stuff in my room. But that's as far as that ever went. So I never got good enough on it to write or back myself up or anything like that. So I kind of put it away over the years. And then when I was in my 20s and in a band, I hired an acoustic guitarist to play rhythm guitar. And I had an electric guitarist that was playing lead guitar, and I told the acoustic guitarist what I wanted, you know, them to play, and they weren't getting it. And so I said, "No, let me show you." And so I showed them, and then the rest of my band is like, why are we hiring a guitarist? Why don't you just do that if you can do it? I'm like, well, I don't know. So I ended up getting the gig that way. It was about 6 weeks before we had a public performance. So I had about 6 weeks to get good at playing and singing at the same time before my first gig with the guitar. So that was a little challenging, but I got it, and I got better at it, and I've been doing it for a long, long time now.
Have you ever, did you ever study voice formally or study the guitar? Were you ever?
I have not studied the guitar formally. That is all self-taught. Vocals, I have taken a ton of choir. I've been in choir in school. I was in choir in church. I took some vocal classes in college. Little known fact, I auditioned for a voice scholarship in Arkansas, and on a Friday, got in a car wreck on a Saturday. That next week, they called me in the hospital to tell me that I had gotten the full scholarship, which included like this trip to Europe with this group and all this stuff. And I had to turn it down. I was in the hospital for 2.5 months. I had gone through the windshield of a car. So
Oh my gosh.
plans changed, but I did get a voice scholarship, so I could have studied there. But I ended up going to school in Huntsville, Texas, at Sam Houston State University. And I did take some music classes, but I didn't major in music.
I actually went to college on a full voice scholarship
Nice.
and studied voice for 2 years before I switched over to theology. Yeah, it was tough. When did you start writing? When did you know that you were really a songwriter?
Well, it was a long time before I really realized I was a songwriter, but I started writing when I was about 13. I wrote a song when I was about 13. I wrote the lyrics, and a friend of mine was a good piano player, and I said, let's put these together. So she came up with some music, and I put a melody to it, and we played it every chance we got, school cafeteria. There's a piano, let's do it, whatever. But started writing when I was just, a young teenager, and just kept writing. And, that gig that I mentioned where they called me and said, do you still have a band? And I had just fired my band. Back when I was trying to get that gig, this was a place in Houston. If anybody's familiar with the Houston clubs, it was a place called Fitzgerald's, which was a well-respected venue in Houston for live original music. All I knew was that it was for live music. I didn't catch that original part. And when I went in to try to get the gig, I took a big list of popular hits that I thought they might want to hire me to play, and the guy looked at it and he was like, what is this? I'm like, well, those are a bunch of songs we can do. And he's like, you got any original songs? I'm like, well, yeah, but I didn't know anybody wanted to hear those. He's like, yeah, we're an original venue. Play your original music when you come here. I'm like, no problem, and that was incentive for me to write more and to go dig up more songs that I'd written that I didn't necessarily know if anybody would like them or not. It's really personal when you write a song. You don't know if anybody else is going to like it or not, So I put all my, put what I had together. And then in that band, there were a couple other songwriters. And so between all of us, we got a set together of original material. But when I came to Austin, I took some time before I started playing live with the band just to focus on writing and to develop as much of my own style as I could. And there were certain venues where you had to play for like 4 hours, like Green Hall is like a 4-hour gig sometimes. And they didn't want very many covers either. So I just found it a challenge to try to write as much original material as I could and write things that people were going to respond positively to. So I think that I realized I was a songwriter probably in my mid-20s when I took that time before I had a band in Houston called Invictus, which was the band that Perry was in. I had a band in Austin called Riverchild. And when those bands kind of went away, people would quit or whatever, it seemed like there were people that always said, "Oh, are you going to change your band name now that so and so's not in the band?" And it just got to where I'm like, I'm tired of putting all this effort into this band name, and then somebody quits, and then they feel like we should have another band name. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take some time off and just write and get a lot of songs and figure out who I am. And when I start playing again, I'll be Shelley King. And if my band wants to call themselves the whatever, then it could be Shelley King and the whatever. I don't care. But I had to just start like just trying to be me and not trying to package up some kind of a thing that I was pitching. Instead, I'm like, it's just me and I got some songs. You want to hear them, And that's when it seemed to kind of work for me that way. I'd say that's when I decided I was a real songwriter.
Yeah, that really makes sense, all of that coming together at the same time. Your most recent album, Kick Up Your Heels, which has the most fabulous picture of you I've ever seen, but we weren't able to. There it is. You got it. Good. Look at that picture. I just think that's the happiest picture I've seen in a very long time. And this album, I know, first of all, the first song on this album, which is entitled Levon's New Drum Set, which you wrote as a tribute to the legendary drummer Levon Helm from the band, got you on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. And girl, that is really something. Joe, can we see that?
And that little cover right there, that little cover shot, that little shot. Yeah, that shot. Shelley.
Yeah, in that. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Man.
That's kind of special. Tell us about that. About that song. I have read about where you wrote it and how you wrote it and what it meant to you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, try to figure out how the best way to tell you this. I got an opportunity. Is everybody familiar with Levon Helm? There's
Joe, show that picture just real quickly. We have a picture of him
called The Band, and
yes,
the band
that's him. That's Levon.
The band backed up Bob Dylan and had a huge career and tons of hits, and probably the sound of Americana for at least through the 70s and some of the 80s. So very influential, very incredible music. And he was so loved. He was originally from Arkansas. And me growing up in Arkansas, I knew all about Levon Helm. And you're right to say Levon. His real name is Levon, but everybody calls him Levon. And his widow calls him Levon. So he's known as both, but he's definitely his born name was Levon. And great drummer, great human being, he's so loved. I only got a chance to meet him one time, but it made an impression. And I got to perform at one of the events that he held at his home in Woodstock, New York, at his studio. And these concerts that he would hold were called the Midnight Ramble. And I got to play with him and be in the band that opened for him. And then on their grand finale, they did their big hit song. And I got called up to, sing a little backup on it with everybody, kind of a group thing. But it was huge to me. It was really awesome. Since then, I've gotten to go back to Woodstock many, many, many times. I usually go a few times a year. COVID has definitely slowed that down, but so excited I get to go back in a couple of weeks. We've got a show there. But we've made lots and lots of friends there. It's kind of a second home now. There's just it's a beautiful thing. So when Levon passed away and I was actually on tour up in the New York area and had planned to go to a Midnight Ramble that weekend, and had contacted everyone up there and made sure it was, cool that I come. And so I was on the guest list. I made a plan to be a part of it. I was kind of hoping I might get invited to come up and sing something, just keeping my fingers crossed, but it's definitely going to be there. Well, a couple of days before that ramble, Levon passed away. And I was in New York when I found out about it. And I went on to Woodstock anyway on that weekend because I'd already planned to be there. And I thought, well, if anything else, I'll try to take that time to write a song, or maybe a song about Woodstock or the Midnight Ramble or something that captures what he loved about Woodstock. So I sat out on the porch of this little bed and breakfast in Woodstock like all day one day, and it was kind of threatening rain. This cloud was gathering over the mountain. Every once in a while there'd be a little thunder, but then nothing would happen. And I'm like, what's going to happen with this? Well, by that evening, and I've been sitting out there all afternoon, it was just beautiful out there. And so I've been writing lyrics, and by that night, it finally just opened up and started raining. The rain came down just massively. There was lightning and thunder, and the street light was cutting on and off, and electricity was going out and coming back. And it was just intense, but I didn't want to leave it. It was like a front row to an amazing show, you know? I went and got a bath towel, and I was sitting on this porch, and it was covered, but it was splattering me. So I put this bath towel over my lap and just sat out there and watched and wrote lyrics. And then it hit me that had there been a Midnight Ramble, it would have been happening then. And had Levon not passed away, that would have been about the time that he would have taken the stage. And like right when I had that realization, there was this massive lightning and thunder. It was just so intense. I thought, wow, well, maybe this is the Ramble. And maybe that's Levon playing his new drum set, you know? And so that's where the song came from.
That's such a great story. And you know, writing a song as a tribute to somebody like that, that song will just live on and on and on because he had so many fans and followers. I know you have said about your music that your music is always about connections. And this album has been described by some reviewers as a family reunion because you brought together family members and band members and friends and other groups and so forth to create this and that idea about your music and connections. That certainly is the experience of all of us who know you and all of us who have loved your music and, you know, have experienced your spirit up close and personally. And even though this album was released right before the pandemic, right before COVID, I can remember that you said you talked even back then about how divided this country and even our world has become, how people, you know, have divided themselves into tribes and groups, and there's so much anger and so much animosity and so much violence and misunderstanding and rejection and all of these things that have plagued our spirits, you know, in these last months and years. You talked about how important music is. I think you said good friends and good music are the way we can keep believing that we will come back together and we will make it through this somehow. And that has stayed with me. You also said that this is a party album because what we need more than anything else is to have some fun. And I think that's true too. We can't take ourselves too seriously. And I really want to encourage everyone to if they can, you know, to experience this album because it really is something quite remarkable. And I want everybody to know that I asked Shelley as we close this part of it, if she would just pick any song she wanted to and sing one song for us tonight. And she agreed to do that. So Shelley, if you would do that now, please.
Oh, will. You know, I'm kind of thinking like I want to change my song now. Hold on. Let's see. Let me see if I have these lyrics. I probably know this song by heart, but just in case, let me think of what it's called. Because what you're saying, I feel like this song might be better for us. Let me see if I can find it.
And Shelley, you were gonna go to original sound,
Yes, I
and
will.
then you and I were gonna mute.
Okay.
Make
Yeah,
sure it
we're
all
going to
works.
mute.
All right, let me see here. Let me see if I need to tune up. I'm cool. All right. I had something in mind that I was gonna do. Let me go to original sound. Turn on original sound. Okay. I had something in mind that I was going to play, but I think this will be more fun. I'm all about the fun. All right, let's see here. This is a song I wrote with my friend Flora Mae Holiday, and that's her real name. Beautiful South Carolina Southern Belle, and named after her grandmother. South Carolina has this cool tradition of naming the daughter after the maternal grandmother's maiden name. This is all through her family. Her sister's name is Nelson. She has a cousin named McLeod. I mean, pretty great names in that family. I love it. But her grandmother's last name was Holiday. So she's Flora Mae Holiday. Irvin was her maiden name. Her last name now, she married a Hungarian guy with the last name of Ratz. R-A-C-Z, Ratz. She said, I can't say it like that. I'm going to say rocks. So she's like, Flora Mae Holiday rocks. I'm like, okay, change the pronunciation. I'm sure the family will be cool with that. That's all right. So anyway, she's Flora Mae Holiday rocks. She does rock. We were sitting around and making dinner, a big family dinner. That's what we were doing. She actually put me to work. She had this great recipe for homemade tomato pies. Have you ever had that? I think that's a South Carolina thing too. It's like a pie. I mean, like a pie crust and a pie, but it's like layered with like a kind of a cheese sauce and the maybe the cheese sauce has some mayonnaise or something, and it's kind of fluffy. You know, it sets up and it's kind of fluffy, and then there's the tomatoes and cheese and some crumbs. It's actually amazing. She had a ton of tomatoes, so she was making these tomato pies, and she put me to work stringing beans. So she's like, get out there and snap these peas or make these green beans. So I'm sitting out there on the porch and thinking about this party we're getting ready to have, you know. And this little melody comes in my head, and I'm just like, front porch stringing, snapping beans, cooking up a feast for the family. Whippoorwill sings his song, check the stove, it won't be long till supper time. Stay a while, kick off your shoes, dance to the rhythm of the down-home blues. Stay a while, fancy free, stay a while with me. Stand in a circle, holding hands, bow our heads, now let's dig in. Pass the ham, corn and potatoes, don't forget the homegrown tomato pie, and don't be shy. Stay a while, kick off your shoes, dance to the rhythm of the down-home blues. Stay a while, fancy free, stay a while with me. It's been so long since we've been together, it's good to see your smile. We'll be here for worse or for better, I hope you'll stay a while. Do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. All right. Watermelon, sweet and fine, tastes so good down to the rind. Ice the tea, slice the pie, have ourselves a heavenly time. We'll have a good old time. Stay a while, kick off your shoes, dance to the rhythm of the down-home blues. Stay a while, fancy free, stay a while with me. Stay a while, kick off your shoes, dance to the rhythm of the down-home blues. Stay a while, fancy free, stay a while with me. Won't you stay a while with me? Won't you stay a while with me?
Unmute him and give it up.
That was perfect. that was just perfect. Yes.
Getting
And by the way, I'm from
together.
Mississippi and used to eat tomato pie all the time.
Oh,
Yes, we had tomato pie.
Mississippi.
in
Wrote a
Mississippi
new
also.
song for you, Ken. I'm gonna have to do it.
Hold on. Yeah, we got
Where's
time.
my
Ken, let it go. We got
those
time.
lyrics?
We
Oh.
got Shelley, stay on.
Do you have time?
We got time.
Okay, I'm gonna try to
There you
do
go.
this. I don't know if I can because I don't have those up.
We got time.
There's always
Do you have
time to hear you sing.
Do you have 2 minutes? Because
Yes,
that's how long
yes.
it'll take me.
You
Oh,
can-
yes.
You can actually.
Are you ready?
Of normal. So sing.
Who here was raised by people from the South? Who here was not raised by people from the South? You guys may not get this. I have been figuring this out. I've been playing it, and like my husband, I found out, was not Southern raised. His mama's from California, his daddy's from Ohio. And I guess they had some Kansas in there. So he didn't get this as much. The rest of y'all should have a good time. Let's just see. It's a song. I'm bringing this up because Ken said something about Mississippi. Let me see how this goes. As I was traveling across Mississippi on my way to New Orleans, when I spied that state line sign, it hit me, and I began to sing. In my crooked letter I, crooked letter I, humpback I, sing it with me now, don't be shy. In my crooked letter I, crooked letter I, humpback I, that spells Mississippi, that ain't no lie. Let me think of the second verse. Oh, here we go. Well, just like my grandpappy taught me when I was learning to read and write, he said, sing this song and you can't go wrong. You'll always spell Mississippi right. In my crooked letter I, crooked letter I, humpback I, sing it with me now, don't be shy. In my crooked letter I, crooked letter I, humpback I, that spells Mississippi, that ain't no lie. That spells Mississippi, that ain't no lie. That spells Mississippi, that ain't no lie. Diddle 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 diddle. Now the folks not from the South are going, what the heck just happened? Everybody else going, I know that rhyme.
That's actually the way we learned to spell Mississippi.
Exactly.
in school.
Who learned
No,
how to
that's the
spell
way we learned
Mississippi that way?
Yep, sure did.
See?
Sure did.
There's a lot
Yep.
of people there. Darcel, you too. All
Okay,
right.
okay.
Not the connect.
Kelly, we try to, we always try to give our folks a minute to, yes, Joby, go ahead, Joby.
Billy, we need you to turn from original.
Yep.
Otherwise, Ken sounds like he's in a cereal box.
How's that? How did it work?
Let's see.
Okay,
Should it work? Working
Yes.
now? Okay, cool.
All yours,
so
Ken.
we got just a couple of minutes left here. If, does anybody have any questions or comments for Shelley? We always like to try to give people a chance to talk to our guests when we
I
have a
did-
couple of minutes. Anybody?
I did see a question earlier that I haven't addressed yet. Somebody asked me if I had written songs for anybody else or another artist. And here, let's see. It was Jane Ann Murray asked, have you written songs for other artists? And yes, I have. I didn't actually, yes, I have. Yes, I have. The answer is yes. My first song that was covered by another artist was an artist here in Austin named Tony Price. And that was actually kind of my first break. She was very, very popular in Austin at the time. And I was a new artist, and a lot of the venues and a lot of the music writers really hadn't given me the time of day. And when she started covering my songs, they all took notice and were like, oh, yeah, we've always liked her. Well, okay. So sometimes it takes somebody else to say, she's okay. Y'all pay attention. So I wrote several songs that Tony Price recorded. My coolest big break, I think, this fellow by the name of Lee Hazelwood was driving through Texas and heard one of my songs on the radio. For y'all that don't know who Lee Hazelwood is, he's the guy that wrote These Boots Are Made for Walking. He's credited with helping curate, if you will, Nancy Sinatra's bad girl image. He helped write her songs, helped her, help produce her, and actually over the years did 3 duet albums with her called Nancy and Lee 1, 2, and 3. He chose my song Texas Blue Moon to duet with Nancy on his album Nancy and Lee 3. One of the coolest things was that I got invited to his 78th birthday party. And Nancy Sinatra was there, and we all got to hang out and play music together. And well, I played music and they listened, and they played music and I listened, but we were together. So it was really cool. And then another artist, Marsha Ball, has recorded a song that I've written. So a few people.
Thanks, Shelley. Becky also asked, Becky, early on when we were talking about the Candyman, there's in the chat room, you said, was it a love song? So I wasn't sure. Becky, maybe you can unmute and just ask that question directly of Shelley, if you remember what you were asking.
The first song that you wrote, was it a love song?
Oh, yes. It was a
I thought
heartbreak
so.
song. Heartbreak. Oh, yes. I've been dumped and my life is over kind of song. Yeah. Yes. So sad.
So a standard country western song to start out. There you go.
Yeah, or something. It was some kind of song, but it was heavy on the heartstrings for sure.
Well, you got some fans here, Shelley. I know, Darcel, you had your hand raised. Denise made it tonight. Denise Bain, I know your Tuesdays are often crazy, but you made a way to get here because Shelley was here tonight. Jordan Cole is on as well. So let's see, questions. Darcel, you had your hand raised. Look at you, how proper in your Zoom etiquette. Thank you. You get to go first now. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Darcel, and chat with Shelley.
Hello, Darcel.
Hello, Shelley. Couple questions. I love Grain of Sand, and I wondered how that song came about for you. And also, do you have a favorite venue that you play at?
Yes. I have lots of favorite venues, but probably really one of the most special places is that Levon Helm studio in Woodstock, New York. It's an amazing room. It's a recording studio, but it's a barn. It's an old barn. It's all cool, it's a nice studio, but it's got a lot of wood and it just has there's a lot of good vibes there. A lot of cool. It's you can feel it, you can feel it in that room. It's really amazing. The other question was about Grain of Sand. Grain of Sand is a gospel song that I wrote. That song just came out on an album in 2008 or 2009. It's on the Welcome Home album. I actually wrote that song after 9/11. That's what that song was about. That was, it's a prayer, actually. The song is a prayer. I felt like a lot of people were really lost and didn't know what they could do. And some people may want to pray, but maybe they weren't brought up that way and they don't know how to pray. And I figured if I just had a song that they could connect to, if they were listening to it or if they were singing it, that they'd be praying. It's sort of tricking people into praying, I guess. But like, here's a song, listen to it, and that's all you got to do. Open up your heart and listen to it, and you're praying. It's good.
Oh, beautiful. Thanks, Darcel. Denise, did you have anything to share with Shelley?
Well, I just wanted to say hey and thank you for always being around. I feel like you're part of the Sanctuary family, and I was lucky enough to meet you through Ken and Darcel and everything. And Mary and I go and try to see you as often as we can whenever we hear you're around.
Awesome.
So
thanks, Denise.
Here, I have one question for you, and I've actually wanted to ask you this, and I don't know why I never have. Are there any instruments that you don't play that you wish you did? Is there any one musical instrument that you're called to play, but for some reason you just it just hasn't happened, or it's just not something that was meant for you to play?
That beautiful piece of furniture back behind me, that is a piano.
It's furniture, it's decoration.
I visualize myself an amazing pianist. Have I ever applied myself properly? No. That's the one. That's the answer right there. I should.
Awesome, thank you. I always ask music, and I'm always curious. That's awesome.
So I hang out with cool piano players like Marshall
Oh,
Ball. Like, hey, can you play
I'll jump in.
yeah.
Any other questions? Jane Ann, is that a question or is that?
Yes. How often are you on the road now? Do you obviously COVID has diminished that, but
Yeah.
did it really interrupt your touring schedule?
Oh,
And how often do you
yeah.
tour?
Yeah, it totally interrupted my touring schedule. I've been home, locked down, quarantined 15 months plus like everybody else. And yeah, I had just kind of come out with this latest record at the end of 2019. And so really touring starts for musicians, the big touring, spring, summer. So for me, I was like gearing up to get like after South by Southwest, we're going to take off. We're going to play all these gigs. And, South by got canceled. So did all festivals that were booked for the whole summer, which are usually like, those are your big pay. And you're like, well, if anything else, at least I've got those festivals. Nah, all the festivals gone, all the clubs, all the touring, everything completely stopped. And we were, yes, completely home with no gigs at all. And I learned to navigate this live streaming thing. I was a little hesitant at first. It's a little nerve wracking to play to a camera. There's not people that you can see and vibe off of. So I had to like play to a camera, and that can make you a little nervous, so I had to kind of get past that. I had to work past that. My first few shows, I was so nervous. I was a nervous wreck. And then after I'd done a few of them, I'm like, oh, I think I'm getting in the groove. That wasn't so bad. And now I excuse me, I look forward to them, and I look forward to them and have so much fun with them. And that has really sustained me. It's helped me stay connected. It's helped me earn money to, we have to keep the lights on and buy groceries and all of that stuff. And it's been a wonderful thing, doing the live stream and taking the music to people who, are staying home and being safe. So.
Yeah.
Great.
So Shelley,
Excellent.
during COVID, I was reading you actually didn't, once you figured it out, you didn't stop playing, you stopped touring per se, as Ann asked. How did you play for people during COVID?
That way, I didn't stop playing. Sorry, y'all, I got a little dry throat there. I had to stop and drink some. Everything kind of stopped right before South by. Like my last gig was maybe March 8th or 10th of 2020.
Yeah.
And then my first live stream, maybe towards the end of April. It took me a little while. I mean, there was like a month or 6 weeks there that I'm like, I don't know about doing that Facebook Live thing. I don't know if that's going to be for me or not. But I finally went ahead and did it. And wow, I could tell I hadn't been playing for a month or 6 weeks. My songs, that and also being as nervous as I said I was, it felt like fuzzy. It felt like my songs, like I could hardly remember them. I wondered if I would remember all the lyrics, and it just was the weirdest feeling to have taken that time off. And so it helped me keep my chops up to do these shows every week. And also when I have my band and I do performances, we have like a 90-minute show we're going to do or something. And I showcase my material, my original material. And I don't hardly ever do any covers. So I don't really know very many covers. But during this time of me playing completely solo, people would say, oh, can you play a Sam Cooke song? Or, oh, can you play a whatever, And I started kind of feeling the challenge. Like, well, why not? I don't have to get together with my band and work it up. I just need to have a little cheat sheet and go for it. So, at first I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And then I'm like, I don't care. Let's do it. Let's give it a shot. If I fall apart, who cares? Let's just have some fun. It's just music. It's not a big deal. So I've kept my chops up by continuing to play all these songs on both of these shows. If y'all don't know, I do a live stream on Sunday afternoons, 2 p.m. Central, and that's on Facebook and YouTube. And my handle on all social media is Shelley King TX, like Texas. So just Shelley King TX for YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. But then also on Wednesday nights, I do another one. It's at 7 p.m. Central. And that one is also Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and it's also broadcast here in Austin on Austin Cable Channel 16. So we have a good group of folks that turns out to most of the shows and has a good little party in the chat room and just keeps me connected, and people requesting songs, keeps me on my toes, makes me remember my songs, and challenges me to learn some new ones. So I think the whole thing has been win-win. So.
Well, I think you might have some familiar faces popping in on Sunday afternoon and tomorrow night. Janice,
Yeah.
so you can do Wednesday nights too, Janice. There you go. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And just
Awesome.
throw the sanctuary flag, Shelley.
It's a 1 hour show. So 2 to 3 on Saturday or Sunday, sorry. Sunday's 2 to 3 and Wednesday night, 7 to 8. That's Central Time. So.
Yep. I put all that in the chat, folks. Shelley, is that on your website also?
No, I probably should figure out how to put it on there, but I haven't. You just need to go to either go to YouTube if you want to just watch it on YouTube. If you want to chime in and be in the chat room, the Facebook one's a lot of fun. It's on my band page. You know, Facebook has, like, everybody's got their personal page. Then if you have a band, it's called a page rather than a profile. So if you just search for me you could just type in facebook.com/Shelley King TX and it should take you right there. And you can just like my page.
Put all these in the chat here.
And if you don't do Facebook,
Shelley
you
with
can
an
go to
EY.
youtube.com.
SHELLEY. Shelley
Yeah.
King TX
Correct.
for Texas. All right. And I spelled that wrong, but y'all can figure it out. Shelley King. SHELLEY KING TX. Honey, is there another burning question out there? Or we have asked Shelley to be with us for about an hour, and that's about the time. Although, you know, I just want to hear the prayer song personally as we leave, but I don't know if that's fair. Jane Ann,
I'll
you
do
do
that.
It's like,
Yeah.
I want to hear the song. I want to hear the song.
Just wanted to show, somebody asked if your tour schedule was on your website.
Yeah, I was going to go right there, Cheryl.
Yeah.
I think it is. Perry's
gonna
been keeping up with that, and I think that tour schedule is on there.
It is, and I got a picture up now, folks.
And that's at shelleyking.com. Oh,
Yep.
and that's at the Mucky Duck, not the. But I like the Mighty Duck. That's pretty cool.
Mucky Duck. It's right on the. I had a long day, Shelley. Sorry.
Mighty Duck is kind of fun. I want to play there.
Yeah, well, it'd be a little more powerful. Get it? But see what I did there? So, if you go to and all this, what's wonderful too, my friends, if you two things I just want to say, and Ken, I'm jumping on your bandwagon here, but Shelley's tour schedule is on her website at shelleyking.com, and also so this Friday, if you happen to be anywhere near the Mighty Duck or the Mucky Duck in Houston, either of those places, I think she's playing in a kind of a hologram kind of way, Shelley. Playing with Carolyn Wonderland, friend of yours?
Yeah, my best budge, and we have a good time playing music together. It's a lot of fun. The Mucky Duck has a live stream. I'm not sure all the details on it, but I think they have it on their website, this is really hard. I'll put this in the chat for you. How about this? It is MC Gone.
I'll let you. And I will tell folks, once you hear Shelley sing a little bit, on her website right now, it's got the cover, but when you hit music, you can hear like a minute and a half of every song on her Kick Up Your Heels album. And after hearing, Shelley, what happened to you in March, like so many of us who just kind of quit working, you can purchase Shelley's music from her website. I would encourage you to do that, but go listen for a taste. And Shelley, we cannot thank you enough for being here with us at Sanctuary. You're such a good friend to Sanctuary, and we are just so proud of you And goodness
Thank
gracious.
you.
I'm gonna stop talking. Ken, I'll let you talk. But Shelley, maybe we could pray that song out. I don't
I
know.
love that.
I don't know. Ken, it's all yours. I'm gonna hush now.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay, yes, that's such a wonderful idea to close with the song. I just want to say thank you, Shelley. We love you. This has been so much fun, and I hope we get to see each other pretty soon.
I
So
do
thank you so
too.
much for being with us.
Thank you. And I love to play out with this song. I want to say, I posted up McGonagals.com. Do y'all see that? That's the website for the Mucky Duck. And if you click on the, or
Okay,
if you
good.
go to
Thank
their
you.
website, there's information about how you can watch the show that we're going to do in Houston this Friday. Carolyn and I are going to do. They've got information on their website about how to watch the live stream. So if y'all want to check that out, that'd be awesome. Eric asked me about my necklace. He said, is that my signature? I just want to show you this necklace. This is interesting because this lady who's a jewelry artist who was selling jewelry on the street gave me this necklace. We got in a big conversation about if you help somebody, how do you know that your help is really helping them and not hurting them in the long run because it's blocking some cosmic lesson they're supposed to learn or something. And we had this really big conversation about this. And then she laid this necklace on me, this so gorgeous and unique. And a lot of people are really drawn to this necklace. So I think this necklace has some magic powers, but I don't know. So, but thank you for noticing it. I like it. And it was a gift from a really cool lady after a really deep conversation. All right, let's see. You want to hear the prayer song? Let's do that. This
You
one.
want to change your sound again?
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, it should be getting there. Let's see. There it goes. All right, this is the song I said that was a prayer, and this is I wrote this after 9/11. It's called Grain of Sand. I know you're out there. I hope that you can hear me. I pray you'll answer my prayer. This world's been rough and a little tough on me lately, but I know you're with me everywhere. Oh Lord, can you hear me calling? I'm crawling and I'm down on my knees. Oh Lord, the sky is falling. Can you catch it? Can you help me please? I come to you with my heart in my hands. When this whole world gets me down, I tell you things that only you can understand. I pray my soul is heaven bound. Oh Lord, can you hear me calling? I'm crawling and I'm down on my knees. Oh Lord, the sky is falling. Can you catch it? Can you help me please? No matter how hard it seems, your love never fails. You are the wind, so I can set sail. I place my life and my trust in your hands. For you are the ocean, and I'm a grain of sand. Oh Lord, Can you hear me calling? I'm crawling and I'm down on my knees. Oh Lord, the sky is falling. Can you catch it? Can you help me, please? Oh Lord, oh Lord, can you hear me calling? I'm crawling and I'm down on my knees. Oh Lord, the sky is falling. Can you catch it? Can you help me, please? Can you catch it? Ooh, can you catch it? Ooh, can you catch it? Can you help me, please? Yeah.
Oh, unmute, my friend.
Amen, amen,
Unmute,
amen.
unmute. Shelley, feel our love.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me on.
Thanks,
It's great to
Michelle.
see you.
Well,
It's
Denise,
great to see all of you.
as soon as it's, we're gonna open and we will get together.
Yes, I'm fully vaccinated. Give me a holler. I'll be over.
Well, we will have some
Right,
appropriately
right.
long hugs.
Can you fix the sound?
Oh, there's that.
There is that.
Always forget. Thanks for, yeah, you got to kind of go back and forth between music and talk. So, yay.
Well, I'm gonna close up the recording, my friends.
Bye, everybody.
It's been a
Night,
blessing.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you so much.
Night, everybody.
Thank y'all.
Bye.
Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
Shelley.
See you in 2 weeks for the June book club. 2 weeks
I'll be ready, Joby.
on the 22nd. We'll see you then. Yeah. Night, night.
Y'all.